is Jalan Tengku Abdul Rahman. And is this one place in Kuala Lumpur where every year, a couple of days before Hari Raya, it will be crowded, right? People will just go there, they will shop, they will eat food, and the environment is electrifying, lah, basically, right? And it's and they will close certain parts of Jalanta to actually put temporary shops over there, right? And this will stretch right up to maybe 1 or 2 kilometers, and it's many shops. And if you want to get a good deal, right, there, I think Jalanta is one of the better places, lah, right? And over there, they're going to sell a lot of things. They're going to sell baju raya, they're going to sell kueh mueh, and they're also going to sell things like your tidbits where you give relatives when you go and visit their house, right? So every year, typically, it will be very crowded, right? This year, however, I found it very different, right? The environment was a bit more subdued, right? Number one, I could see that a lot of vendors, their shops was relatively empty, right? You could only see the vendor there trying to sell their stuff, right? Secondly, I could see a lot of people just window shopping. They're not really buying, they're just walking back and forth, right? And the big question right now is, will this be an indicator of what is going to happen throughout the rest of the year, right? Is this an early sign as to whether a recession might hit our economy in the coming months ahead? I actually talked to a friend of mine. He was telling me also that even his shop, right, sales compared to last year, it dropped more than half, right? Let me just emphasize this point. So last year when he opened a Gerai versus this year when he opened a Gerai, right? He realized that his sales this year actually dropped more than half. First indicator. Second indicator he was telling me is that he was talking to other people in other places in Negeri Sembilan, and some of them are closer towards town, and some of them are closer towards even the stadium, right? The stadium, I guess, over in Stadium Seramban. It's like the hub of all the activities, lah, Gerai activities. And he said that in many of these places, even those places were struggling in terms of sales, right? And I asked him to describe the environment. He told me that there were days he actually sat at his shop and he will probably get maybe just a couple of sales, right? And I asked him about the other shops, and he was telling me even the other shops, there were people selling drinks, and they normally put it in very big containers. Even that was very difficult to sell. And even the food items, the sales were so low that they ended up giving their food items to other people. So, and instead of throwing all their food items, what they did was they give food to different vendors, lah. Like vendor A will give vendor B will give vendor C will give vendor D, right? So instead of throwing all of this food, what they did was they actually started giving all of this food away, right? I think long story short, looking at what is happening over in Jalan Ta or Jalan Tengku Abdul Rahman, and a small caveat lah. It could be I went there during a wrong day, right, where there are not many people. But that being said, also I also talked to friends, right, which is also in the industry, and he was telling me the story, right, that sales was not so good, right. So I think we should look at it. We should look at certain economic indicators, lah, right. I think the first biggest economic indicator is this, lah, right? Where right now, inflation is one of the main topics a lot of people are talking about. Inflation, right? So compared to a couple of years ago, right, during the whole MCO, Movement Control Order, right, we could see that prices of food were still relatively in control. That being said, after the MCO was lifted, we can slowly see things like your flour increasing in price. We can see like the chili increasing in price. You can see the vegetable also increasing in price. So, and another thing that we can see increase in price is also the rice prices. Before this, we could get rice for 26 ringgit for 10 kgs. Right now, to find local rice, impossible. Right now, I think rice prices, most of them imported, are expensive lah. Between the high 30s to 40 ringgit, right? So the cost of living for us is very, very expensive, right? And if food items become more expensive, right? We have to remember that food is one of the things that whether we like it or not, we have to consume food, and it is a need for us, right? So if food prices were to increase, we cannot say that, oh, we don't want to consume food anymore, right? It's not, I guess it's not possible lah, right? So like it or not, right? With the increase of prices of almost everything, right? A lot of our budgets are actually being allocated towards food item. And if this were to happen, right? If this were to happen, basically, we do not have any more disposable income, right? So assuming if we earn about 2K right now, and we are living in a city, right? So before this, let's say we could save at least 1,005. Oh, sorry, we spend about 1,005, right? In terms of rental, in terms of food, in terms of LRT, so on, transport, so on and so forth. That being said, if prices of food actually increases, what will happen is that that particular budget or that particular allocation or what we spend will actually increase, right? So when we start to spend more, we cannot save. And when we cannot save, we cannot invest, right? That's a very scary position lah, basically, right? So right now, if we see that if inflation is increasing, most of the money will be spent on only food items for us to, I guess, survive lah on a day-on-day basis. And if that happens, right, other industries may be impacted, right? Let me repeat this: other industries may be impacted, right? So, yeah. That being said, quite recently, the government announced a couple of things. Hello, how are you? I'm just talking a little bit about the Gerai lah. I went to Jalan Tah. So Jalan Tah this year was very, very not many activities lah. So it was kind of sad lah actually. So I actually talked to my friend also, and he said that his Gerai also he opened somewhere in negeri, merata-rata tak ada. Kuala Pilah tak ada orang. Even the stadium Seramban also there's no one there, right? So and basically I attributed lah, it could be inflation lah, right? So if things are getting expensive around us, right, we have, like it or not, as human beings, we need to consume rice, we need to consume food, right? So if inflation goes up, what will happen is that we will not have that much of money to spend on other things. So yeah. So if inflation goes up, then we cannot spend things. But that being said, right, when we look at this, right, we could see that quite recently the government actually announced that they're going to give things like 2,000 ringgit incentive to the government servant, and also 500 ringgit in terms of bonuses, right? So right now, with these bonuses in I guess government servant law or the civil service, right? Could this be something? Could this be something where they would could this be a catalyst for the economy, or could this see more and more people having an increase in disposable income? Once they have more money from their bonuses, this will increase their disposable income. And once they have an increase in disposable income, this is where they're going to spend it within the economy. And if the spending is high enough, could this be something that would jumpstart the economy, right? So I think right now it's still early days to tell whether the bonuses may give a positive impact on the overall economy. Very hard to say, right? But that being said, I think what we can see around us is that inflation is getting higher and higher, right? And inflation is something that we have to face on a daily basis. But the bonuses is one off, right? So the big question right now is, will this mean that big ticketed items like cars, property, going for holidays, will this be impacted by the increase in inflation rates lah? So only time will tell. We don't know, but I just wanted to share this data lah. So there's this one question is who am I lah? So thanks for the question. I worked as an accountant before for Big Four, right? I was in one of the biggest accounting firm in the world, Deloitte, and eventually I moved into asset management, or I became an investment banker, where I spent more than 10 years actually being an analyst. And my only job is to find stocks and to analyze the economy. So right now, I'm actually, I'm just doing this small little YouTube, right? I just wanted to share financial knowledge to everyone to make it accessible. So I hope that you guys found this session useful, right? Useful. Just wanted to share with you guys, right? And if anyone has any questions, put it down in the comment section, right? If not, I will see you guys. Wait, I'll just wait for a couple of minutes or seconds, see whether there's any questions before we end. All right, so I don't see that many questions. With that, I will end this live. And if you have any questions, like I said, please put it down in the comment section. With that, take care, and I hope to see you guys in the upcoming episode.